All right. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. I've
Oh,
started the
by the way,
recording.
did you guys see that like on each individual like Google Drive sheet, you can now start a chat now? That will open up a chat with everybody who's on your.
Yeah, I saw that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Okay. So recording is started. Who would like to do the retelling? I think Max did it last time.
Yep.
Time before that was Tice. Time before that was Miles.
I could try. Seeing as I was here the last time for the first time in a while. Let's see. We started things off with a whoever knows when they're going to happen meeting, in which many conversations were taking place, and people were taken aside, and people were taken aside again and again. It didn't matter because everyone just joined in on the conversation anyway. Talking about an extra person there, which not much came of, but everyone was kind of in agreement, which is probably not, or just kind of the point of the entire thing. So that is good, I guess. Almost everyone, considering one person wasn't privy to the information. After that, we had some incidents to deal with. I can't remember what the thing was. Hunger again. Everybody got through pretty okay without any extraneous circumstances. Some people better than others and had some bonus stuff to deal with because of it, which is great. Let's see. After that, there was. I don't think I'm skipping anything. Everyone kind of did their own thing for a little bit, and then not to get into too much detail on those. Then someone started, our ships were off in the distance following. Did the undead come on a ship, or did they just like kind of come out of the water? I don't remember that part.
They were on a ship.
Yeah. They had two ships, but the elves burned those ships down when they made landfall. So the undead no longer
Got
have
it.
their ships.
Got it. So there were three ships, and two of the ships, at least three ships, and two of the ships were destroyed, and those were the undead, and they made their way into basically our little big, I don't really know how much space we have, area, and elves hot on their tails. Miles sent some people out to intercept the druids, and Tice had some fun with the necromancer, and started harboring the undead. Miles impressed the druids, I guess is the way to say it. Enough that they were teamed up, and they made their way to Runeterra, and Runeterra is trying to protect their necromancer person, and the elves want to, I'm assuming, kill everybody in there, just all the undead, and mainly the necromancer. And there was a lot of arguing and disagreement, and then I believe everyone was preparing to attack, and that's where we stopped. I don't think any actual attacks happened. I mean, other than the rain of arrows into the necromancer.
I'm not attacking. I'm just playing all sides.
What's a colorful word for the wanderers? The renegades. The renegades were having a lot of conversations, which is surprising. Instead of attacking things, they were talking to everybody, planning things. And my guys were digging a hole to hide. And I don't think the raccoons are really anywhere around.
Word is reaching everyone's embassies that some shit is going down. And so within each of your major cities, government officials are being made aware that it looks like Runeterra may be under siege by a band of elves. None of you made formal mutual defense pacts at any of the Star Moots, but sort of the general purpose of the Star Moots was to promote peace in the area. Mostly it was to keep you guys from killing each other. But seeing as a new threat is in the region, the diplomats are a-talking. For those of you who have magic, you guys are getting somewhat better streams of communication. Everyone has at least a little bit of magic amongst your diplomats, so messages are being sent and received fairly quickly. With the exception, possibly, of you, Ed. I don't know. You can have it if you want to. I don't know how the thefts trade information.
Hey, nobody has better information networks than merchants.
I would assume so.
We like to know who wants all the things, and we're currently trading information. We're currently hazing the squirrel, so information is of extreme cultural value at the moment.
What are you getting in exchange for information from the squirrel? Was it apples?
Future sight apples, yeah.
All right.
All right then. So you have a lot of information to trade about this conflict, and in particular, there's some information that might be useful to traders such as yourself, which is that there are elves and they want an undead. They are apparently willing to trade a lot of arrows for it. It could be a business opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, if people want to trade stuff, we will do the trade.
Of course, you'll have to get a diplomat on the scene to discuss with the parties what they're interested in to figure out if trade can happen. Lomterra, you are fortifying. Is that correct? You're sinking the city, locking all the gates.
I mean, that was pretty much purely for the embassy that's in the city.
Oh, okay. So your main city is fine.
So the main city, they'll be notified via that embassy, I would assume.
Yes.
There should be somewhat of a tunneling system or something. But
as I recall, you do have a functional military.
Yes, I don't need to like hide. It's mainly just those ones are being defensive because an onslaught was a ruckus was starting and an onslaught was imminent, and they do not want to blow up, so they were going underground because that's totally what they do because that's their life.
And the Wandering Rut, you have agents all of them. So,
yeah, I was gonna say I can deploy my main force to at least be in the area because right now they're not. I was just using like spies and stuff before and envoys, but I was told by druids before I was trying to choose sides that I would be handsomely rewarded for helping them. And then once I saw the stick of explosions come out, I decided to side with them. So my army is either on the way or staying by outside, and my spies are on the inside.
Now, you say army, but I do recall, and I'm reading your character sheet, that your army is currently at 0. So if you're sending your militia, what are you paying them with?
I do still have one pile of treasure.
They'll take that.
Yay!
Militia defend their homes for free, and they're good at it. But when they go abroad.
Yes, they were given one pile of treasure to mobilize.
All right, your militia is on its way. A band of mercenaries has rolled out from the Wandering Rut with promise of the king's treasure. Paid in advance, partly, because they are mercenaries. They don't trust you.
Of course.
In Donovan, magical creatures are just flooding in. Squirrels that move like lightning, birds that are as one with the wind, are landing and whispering messages into druid diplomatic ears, and the king is becoming aware of the situation.
Yeah. So his immediate move would be to depart for Runeterra. He's not thrilled to learn that they're on the precipice of a conflict, and he wants to go attempt to mediate it. So he'll head out immediately and send them notification to hold off on further action till he gets there. But before he leaves, he'd like to check in with Uthalor, who's been researching the. He's been researching the unnatural enemies to the north and whatever their enemies may be, since that was the last thing we learned, was that they had some kind of natural enemy. So I'd want to check in with him before leaving just to see if he's dug up anything that's
He is in a state of agitation because there is an apprentice that is questioning his sources. Druids are not in the habit of having their sources questioned, or indeed having sources at all. As generally speaking, Druidic debate is about philosophy, not about citing ancient tomes. And so this young apprentice is causing him a great deal of consternation by questioning which tomes he got what information from. It's slowing his work a little bit. You could reprimand her, and she would stop that and let him continue with his work, or you could encourage her curiosity and see if she discovers things he doesn't see.
Yeah, I'll encourage her curiosity. I'll suggest that whatever areas of his work she has doubts about, to certainly pursue that of her own accord, and to continue to question him where she feels it's reasonable to do so, but perhaps to frame it in a way that that she's attempting to learn from him.
All right. She thanks you for your support, and she's young, but she eagerly promises that she'll discover great things.
Cool.
The young, eager, and full of energy are a great boon of nature and often accomplish much.
Yeah, and then I'll tell them both before I head out. We're receiving we're receiving word that there's an army of undead and an army of elves somewhat nearby. That may be purely pure unrelated coincidence. But if the elves are by any chance the foes of the demons that we're made aware of, that may be worth looking into.
Okay. At the moment, he seems to have his doubts, but he's not certain yet, but he'll get back to you as soon as he has more information.
Cool. All right.
I do notice you have an unspent experience point.
I do.
If you would like to spend that to add potential to your city, you may cast a spell that will teleport your leader directly to the scene, avoiding travel time.
Yeah, sure.
So you're giving yourself one potential and then immediately taxing it to trigger the spell.
Okay then.
In the future, your city, and Runeterra will also be unlocking this turn, will be able to begin taking talents and methods in spellcasting which enable not individuals in the city, but the city itself to cast citywide rituals to trigger magical effects over a global scale.
Cool. Sounds good to me.
Pursuit of this, of course, is an incredible drain on experience points, so be aware that your city may stop all other development if you really pursue that hard, but it's becoming an option now.
Cool.
All right. So, in the midst of the elves beginning to plant seeds to grow siege gear around the walls of Runeterra, your druid appears in, I don't know, a swirl of leaves or something. What does it look like?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say it's a mist. It's really misty, then the mist goes away, and he's there.
All right. Meanwhile, inside Runeterra, actually, do you teleport into Runeterra or outside where the elves are?
Probably outside where the elves are.
Okay.
I'm optimistic, but I'm still not totally inclined to teleport into a city that I'm potentially at war with.
Fair enough. Your diplomats are inside the city, so you do have those.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Then I'll teleport to wherever. Oh,
Well,
where
not
are the
all
elves?
of them.
Elves-
Like the
the el-
guys that you
yeah,
sent
okay.
out are still out here, but you had an embassy inside a city, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, I do. Yeah, the elves are outside the city. The elves are outside the city, and my two lieutenants are inside the city, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I'll teleport to them.
Okay. Meanwhile, inside the city, the necromancer struggles against his bonds and calls to the leader of Runeterra as he has a message. The message is from himself personally. It's not like he's delivering a message for somebody else. He has something he'd like to say. And though the chains bind him down, he is able to eke out the words. I would like to make a deal with you.
So you finally come to your senses. After many attempts of escape and this little punishment I put on you, you've actually thought about it now.
You must realize that I will always work against you as long as you hold me captive. In any way that I can, no matter how your chains bind me, I will find ways to sabotage the tasks you give to me. But if you truly find me useless, you will cast me out to the elves, and I can't have that. So, I offer an exchange for letting me go, but not letting the elves have me. I offer a piece of information about your god. Not one you worship, but the one you stand upon, the sleeper. It is, and he whispers, new information. Like meat, it is fresh. Freshly hatched, dripping with blood.
I see. I, of course, have been trying my best and my patience with you before. I've even offered you a station in this city many times, but you have refused to it. There is much knowledge you could learn from the city. The city, but it seems like you.
There is much knowledge, and we would have been friends had you not bound me. By preventing me from returning to my home, you have made an enemy. But all can be forgiven if you don't let the elves get to me. Let me go out the back, hold the gates. I will vanish from your realm and leave you with a very delicious piece of information.
From my realm.
I have like 600 beans.
What do you mean by from this realm? From this mountain area?
Oh yes, very far from this mountain area. Farther than your sages have ever imagined. And it is from that distant depths that my spells of seeking have acquired a piece of information. A piece you may find very, very interesting. Now, you do have him under chains. You can try to compel him to give you information, but as he said, he has ways of sabotaging it. So he might not give you the whole story, or he might give you intentionally misleading information. On the flip side, you could use the chains to determine if the information is true. You wouldn't learn the information that way, but you'd be certain to know whether or not he actually has information.
Well, if you wish to make an accord, I guess I must bring up the contracts and make sure this is binding. And if you ever return here, we may exchange more information again.
Okay. So you bring up the contracts, and you find ways of making it binding. Your use of the chains you've put upon him has determined that he does have a piece of information. He's being honest about that. And you can use the contracts to force him to reveal it as he leaves. Now, all of that will take time, and in the meantime, the diplomats get to have a go. So, first up, the thefts. Oh, Ed's not here.
He just dropped.
Okay. Then we will switch over to Lone Firma.
I'm very engrossed in what they're doing. What are we doing?
Elves are setting up siege plants outside the gates, and inside the gates, the necromancer is having more spells cast upon him. It's not clear the motives yet.
Okay, so this is how we are reacting to this news.
Yep. How are your diplomats inside the city reacting to the news? Do they want to take any actions or participate in any diplomacy?
I think I can hear you guys again.
Yep, I can hear you.
Cool.
I mean, so far, like everything's localized around Rune, so I haven't had we're kind of set up to defend ourselves, and I don't need to do that right now.
Okay, so you're just making an isolationist play and staying out of it? That's allowed. You're allowed to do that.
I'm just trying to think if I have a reason not to do that.
Well, the forces in play here are dangerous threats. The elves were killing people to get here. The undead are undead. They've been raiding the coast.
Yeah, but we can. I feel like I can assume at this point that my people have not been privy to the two newcomers. Like I wouldn't have had necessarily people out getting harmed in their path.
True, you're one of the few that hasn't felt that.
So I haven't been wrong by either side. It is reasonable that I could assume that. Is it crazy for me to think that like undead is just a naturally bad thing, or is that not like a way people would think here?
That is entirely up to you. As it is your civilization, you may choose how they perceive it.
Okay, we're pretty. It's a bunch of people hidden and such underground. I'm gonna assume that undead is a frightening thing that we would not be okay with. The army would know what would not be like wanting to deal with them. That being said, if we were, so we weren't wrong by the elves the entire time, and the elves are attacking a city that is. Do I have that much knowledge? Is it safe to assume I have that much knowledge by this point to know that the Rune Terror is full of undead?
Yes.
Like they've been
They're
welcomed
straight
into
up
the
walking
gates.
down the streets. Your diplomats can peer out of the windows of your little embassy and see the undead standing in the streets ready to receive the siege. All right. What do you think about that? Let's see. Miles, your king has arrived.
All right. Yeah, the first thing I'll do is just immediately notify the loyalist druid, who is the one who was initially attempting to order the siege, that to hold off. So I would like to attempt some kind of further negotiation. For better or worse, we need to make every possible attempt to maintain peace among our people in light of the threat to the north. If we're going to go to any kind of war, we have to be absolutely certain that we attempted every alternative first. I'll have him kind of hold off on casting the fire strike, and then I'd like to approach the elves, or at least whoever is apparent as being. I assume that that my lieutenant druids would have some idea of like who their leader is, and I would approach him and introduce myself.
They have some kind of shaman who's using magic to communicate, to cross their language barrier.
Cool. Is it a spell that, like, seeing him do it, is it something that I can kind of figure out myself?
Not merely from sight. It is something you could research, but yeah.
Okay. It's something I'll maybe research at a later time.
So yeah, he'll speak. His sort of first question is pretty direct. Why have you stopped the fire?
I'll say this city might not be an enemy. If the necromancer is there, that is an enemy, but the leader of the city might not.
We care not for the city. The necromancer must die. That can be kind of interpreted two ways. You notice that the magic is not filtering the language perfectly. He might mean that the city is, if the necromancer dies, then the city's fine. He doesn't care. He might also mean that he has no qualms smashing the city to pieces to get at the necromancer. So it's sort of dual interpretive.
I'll say perhaps we can kill the necromancer without destroying the city, and in doing so can preserve our own people to fight a greater threat.
City brought necromancer out, would not trade for him, took him back in. You're not sure the word trade was a good translation either. There seem to be some raccoons in the area, and the spell seems to be picking up on the languages of its surrounding critters. And so the fact that everything is traded to them may be polluting the translation.
Sure.
They may have meant give up, that they wouldn't give up the necromancer to them.
Sure. I'll say, all right. I would speak with their king first, to attempt to find a peaceful solution.
Speak then, we will wait while the vine towers grow. You have until the beanstalks reach the peak of their parapets. Then we will begin.
Okay.
They're using magic to grow them, so you probably have maybe an hour.
Okay. All right. I would like to take some of my druids and go to my embassy. But I would like to basically leave some kind of means of rapidly recalling back out of the city if need be.
You promised me treasure of some sort, and I basically can open the gate and close the gate when I want.
All right.
So as long as that's still cool, then we're good.
Hey, if my lieutenants made the deal, then that's the deal.
You've made some useful allies. Ed, the thefts have gotten on site, and they're reporting through their little trade systems that they have people on the scene ready to try negotiating or trading. The primary parties in play are elves that want to trade for a necromancer, and an undead army that wants to trade for their necromancer not being given to elves. These undead are of the same make and construction as the ones that you disassembled previously. Are you there? Uh-oh, did we lose that again?
Or if you're talking, Ed, we can't hear you.
Test.
Hey, there he is.
Sorry. Jackie just literally showed up my door. I had to get her bag.
Oh, cool. Hello, Jackie.
She left. Oh, she's gone now, but she left her bag over here. So. Okay, what's up?
Your thefts have arrived onto the scene. There is a city under siege, elves on the outside, undead on the inside. The elves want the undead's leader. That's their desire in terms of trade. It's not clear what the undead want except to not give up their leader. And then there are other parties in play as well. Your intel suggests that the druids want peace, which is not a physical object, so that's a hard one. But the blood people that live inside the city seem to want the necromancer as well. They don't want to give him up, but because they currently have him.
Well, I mean, we don't like the undead because they killed a bunch of people. We don't like the elves because they killed a bunch of people as well.
Also true.
So these people are off our trading list. But we do see that someone has something of extreme value that they want to keep. Namely, this city seems to have a necromancer, which it's interested in keeping. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and proselytize to the town and the city about the value of giving up the things that you value most.
Okay. Tice, the raccoons are preaching a gospel of giving up the thing you value most to attain profit.
I'm sorry, I was in the middle of talking something.
No worries.
So the raccoons want me to get rid of. What that sounds like preposterous idea. The idea of giving up your most valuable things. I acquired these valuable things for a reason, so I could have them.
That's why you don't have very many valuable things. You would have more valuable things if you gave more of your valuable things away. And then one of the thefts looks at the other thefts says, they don't have very many eggs here. It's like, I know, they have no eggs at all.
They don't even have apples. But there was a lot of writing on the walls. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It is roughly that moment that a druid king just comes strolling on down the street. Not really clear how he got in here. Somebody must have left a gate unlocked or something. Miles, as you approach the leader of the city, or as your leader approaches the leader of the city, you do see the necromancer bound in chains. The chains are glowing with red runes, and a contract on a suspiciously sized and shaped and colored piece of leather is being written out in a dark ink. The necromancer seems to be participating in and negotiating the terms of this contract.
I'll say I hope that necromancer has promised you something incredible, because it cannot be worth what's going down outside.
Yes, of course. It's good for the city.
I'll say, all right, I've ordered my druids not to siege your city. Should probably lead with that. However, I don't think a peaceful resolution is possible here without the necromancer being given over to the druids. And that's not a threat. That's not at my hand. That's at the elves' hand. They've made their terms very clear. I was barely able to get 1 hour to try to get this resolved peacefully. So I'm really hoping that you'll join with us here in once and for all just dealing with this necromancer who it appears has been a source of trouble for you as well.
Trouble that has been accounted for, but I guess for the little miscreants outside, he won't be as much of a trouble once he goes back to his realm. I think he said it was.
Oh, indeed, I will go away. I'll be no trouble in my realm. But of course, it would be one of those life worshippers who would come to try and encourage you to feed me to the elves and deny you the secrets I know. Now, bear in mind, the Necromancer obviously is trying to save his own skin. So his harsh words about your ally may just be him trying to manipulate you. And as a master of manipulation, your leader kind of is going to see through that. But the contract is there. The Necromancer is ready to sign it. But signing it releases him. Your chains will fall away, and his magical power will be fully under his control. It does require him to leave your city. And it also requires him to tell you a secret, an important secret about the god that your city is built on.
So yeah, I'll quickly I'll quickly ask Matthias for clarification. I'll say exactly what obligations are you agreeing to under this?
There's a couple quick questions. Instead of, well, I would have tried to argue, instead of leaving my city, I would, like, if he, as he claims this is his realm, that he will leave this realm, and if he ever returns, that ownership will be that I will regain rightful ownership again to him if he, as a part of as he has broken the contract. Also, what his ideas about what he's going to do with his soldiers that he has.
So he's a pretty selfish guy, and he's willing to throw them to the wolves if need be. But at the same time, he does consider them a resource. So he will take them with him if that's amenable to you. In terms of never returning, he scowls at that, but he knows that he has very little bargaining power in this regard. His only chip is that secret, and he needs to get out of here. So he is willing to agree to those terms. It's up to you how you want to write into the contract what becomes of his army. Either he'll be allowed to take it with him, or they'll be left here.
Well, it seems like they were under, quote-unquote, under his control.
Actually, you may recall from last session that most of them are not. Most of them are free will undead, and they follow him because he's their captain of their pirate crew. There actually seems to be genuine loyalty among these undead. It's almost disheartening for people other than yours that he has no such loyalty towards them.
So they're referring to him as captain, and I will take over the title as captain then, and you leave.
Did we give this girl a beer?
Very well, he agrees. You will become the new captain of my dread fleet of pirates. I wish you well in all of your nautical undead adventures.
Indeed, and I will now look over to the Druid King and see, I've solved everything without having to send him to the elves, and he'll be rid of our realm for a long time because of this bonding contract. And I will sign it.
All right. Both signatures upon the page. He then whispers to you the secret. He tells you, I know where the last believer of this god is. I told you once he was far away, farther than you can imagine, but that changed. He's arrived. He's here, and he's in the Druid Kingdom that your ally here rules over. And then the Necromancer opens a portal and is gone.
I would like to stop that portal.
Okay. That's going to be some powerful magic. Go ahead.
All right, I got my 2 lieutenants here.
You do?
Yeah, we may be able to tag team this.
All right.
So what would I be rolling?
Let's see. So your city. This is basically a culture plus scholarship, but you're getting bonus dice for the leaders that you have present. This will be the same for Tice. as you're the one who created the portal, and the Necromancer will be assisting you, Tice. He is an extra 10 dice.
Okay. Because, yeah, I'm definitely going to counter the counter.
Well, I mean, it's your portal to begin with, so.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Your magics are what's allowing it, so, yeah.
Yeah, so what's that? Would that be scholarship?
Yes, scholarship plus culture. I'm sorry. For you, it's not culture. For you, it's... What was it? For you, it's your industry. Oh, I guess that's the same for you, isn't it? You guys have made an industry out of magic.
And then let's see. Do I get dice from him, right?
Dice from your leader and 10 dice from the necromancer.
Wait,
Oh, dice.
Wait, you get dice from your leader?
Yes. You should be rolling dice for your leader. So there's going to be a lot of dice on the table here. There's going to be a huge variance of randomness because coin flips are brutal.
Okay, so I just rolled my my culture and my scholarship. Do I roll my leader as well?
Yes. All of your leaders. I believe you brought 3 with you.
Yeah. Okay. So those pips don't exist then. So I got 5 successes from that. Shit.
All right, Tice. If you have more than 10 successes, remember your leaders are adding dice, not pips. And I believe you only have your main leader, but you do have the necromancer with you.
Yeah, which you said was 10 dice.
Correct.
I'll be blowing to add 5 more dice, just in case.
All right. Tice, you have been victorious in this role, so this can go down the way you want. The druids are trying to stop the portal. You're currently under contract to open this portal, and violation of the contract may have consequences. But you won the role, so you can be sly and let things slip, or you can enforce your contract.
I'm going to uphold the contract because it's legally binding, and I do not. That's not how I be sly. I follow everything by the rules, which is why I can get around things.
All right. For a moment, you both have a glimpse of a city twisted in on itself, the ground rising to become the ceiling, and then the necromancer is gone and the portal closes. And there's a lot of angry elves still outside.
Just one question. Since I had a lot of successes on the portal part, would I have sort of have a pinpoint of exactly with magic, be able to understand where I cast it towards?
Unfortunately, there is sort of a direction that you might sort of think of. Your people do not have enough understanding of where that direction leads to really understand where it's pointing to.
Okay, so yeah, I'll just be under observations then for now.
Yeah. You know it was in the general direction of the astral plane, and that's it. That's the entirety of your knowledge. And even then, it's not clear.
Also, out of general curiosity, why did Tice roll 25 dice?
I rolled 5 for my scholarship plus 2, which is 7.
Oh, right, okay.
Plus another 5 because I used my talent, and then 3 for my leader, and then 10 from my necromancer.
Cool. All right.
Does that talent taxes your scholarship, right?
Yeah, I had to text my scholarship this time.
Oh yeah, you've been feeding it into your endurance previously. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a shitload of taxes right now. Okay, so there's a valuable piece of information that you get somewhere in the druid city of Korath and Danuan is the last believer in the sleeping god under your city. He has newly arrived, and that is the entirety of the information you got.
And I'll just look at the see, gone. He has been dealt with.
I'm not gonna say. I'm just gonna recall back out of the city, and I'm gonna.
Okay.
I'm gonna summon my diplomats to leave as well.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna have my theft scoff down an apple and see if we're in any immediate danger.
Yes. Elves are about to storm the city, seeking vengeance upon a necromancer that's no longer present.
Cool. We are going to trade some apples with the elves as we get out of the.
Yeah, I'm gonna have my spies open the door and go out the door. I'm having them do a tactical temporary retreat for now.
Interesting. Just a moment. Okay. All right. So the rats flee the sinking ship, basically, and
Raccoon.
and for a moment nothing happens. And then some elves gather around a pile of apple cores, of eaten apples, conferring, and then they start packing up their shit and heading south.
All the elves are just leaving.
They're just leaving.
I would like to speak with them before they leave.
Okay, they're no longer on a killing streak.
I would say, are you still pursuing the necromancer?
We would like to, but we do not have the ability. We are going to go seek the aid of some who might. We tasted the fruit of Yggdrasil, and in it we saw a vision of the results of our attack. It did not please us, so we are leaving.
Say, that is good. Say, perhaps, would there be any among your kind who would be willing to come with us so that we may learn from each other and help develop our magic in advance of a fight against the demons?
He says, "We may yet see each other again, but not this day. Much trouble is headed your way. We do not want to be here when it arrives."
All right. I'll say, do you know of any means by which we can communicate into the future so that we can remain apprised of what's happening?
Birdsong carries on even the farthest wind. The roots of the tree dig deep into the world and touch every stone.
Okay. All right. I'll say, yeah. We'll be in contact. Say, best of luck in your journey. I hope you find what you're looking for.
All right, and so they return to their ships and set sail. It's a bit of a shaky situation. But everybody sort of comes out of it not too worse for wear, and the druids call for another moot as the stars have once more aligned.
Once my rats see that the city's not going to be burned, they just scurry back. I mean, I'll roll if you want, but he has no ramparts, so.
Max, your soldiers of fortune, come back. There was no fight, but they are still demanding their pay. Do you intend to pay them?
I still aided the druids. I'd like to know what the druids are rewarding me with.
Sure. With that, can I tax my economy to reward him? Basically, is that something
you can tax
do?
your treasure. You have a treasure, and you can reduce its quality by 1.
Is that my resources?
It was an item that you had in your inventory.
Oh.
You picked it up from raiding a pirate ship.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't put that in my inventory.
Well, I paid them earlier with my pile of treasure, so I've just gotten his pile of treasure now as reward. So, I mean, breaking even's not losing, so I guess that's all right.
Also, did you bring any of your like domesticated war animals with you?
I mean, I didn't specify it, but yeah, the what's his name? The Earth Mage would have been accompanying the lot. So yeah, the hyenas probably would have been there too.
Is there any way that I could help him in domesticating those?
Yes.
As kind of a means of further payment?
Oh, yeah, that's nice.
Because I can domesticate the shit out of stuff.
Nice. Yeah, they're quality 4 right now.
Is that something? Would that be like rolling my culture and agriculture or something?
So after the moot, you guys will get some free actions to try and improve your society.
Okay.
At the moment, the next big event is sending people to the moot, where you can discuss what deals you'd like to make with each other and trades and such.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess on the way out, I'll tell. I see that you've taken to domesticating war animals. We will assist you in this.
Nice. If I come across anything else, we can deliberate on them. Always offer my services.
All right. As will I.
So we're just going to go through one by one, and everybody's going to tell me who they're bringing as their special guest to the moot, as each leader gets to bring one of your lieutenants. Let's start with you, Max. I know you've got 2 guys now, at least.
I think I'm going to send Turf, the Earth Wizard, this time.
Okay. Runeterra. I think you've only got the 1 guy left, right? Since the Necromancer is gone?
Yeah, so what are we allowed to bring?
You're allowed to bring 1 assistant. 1 person to assist you. You're not required to, but if you want to, you can choose 1 from among your various lieutenants to come with you.
I'm going to bring over one of my newly acquired higher rank officers, and I'm going to be wearing a silly pirate hat to this. I'm going to be like in a silly pirate sort of thing as I bring my undead.
Oh yeah, that's right. So you have an undead first officer. He's quality 6, and he has excellent sailing abilities.
Bring an undead to a druid star moot.
That's bold.
Yeah.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
It's a bold move,
Cotton.
His name is Jacques.
Yeah, my client's the only one that just doesn't care. Like, everybody else seems to be worried about him. Like, whatever, he's undead. Doesn't bother me. It's not stealing from me or nothing.
Yeah, last time he brought a vampire cannibal, so yeah.
Yeah.
moving up in the
a
world.
little bit. Yeah.
All right, Korth and Danuin, which of your lieutenants would you like to bring with you?
I'm going to bring the Unifier.
Okay.
Same as last time.
Before you leave, Uthalor has a more detailed report for you. He says, I was right, the elves were definitely not the enemy of the Chaos Demons. I would beware. It seems that, from my research, the greatest enemy of these demons is another kind of demon. So maybe not something we want to deal with.
Okay. And as far as I'm aware, there's no such thing as like a demon that's at all like reconcilable with our values, right? Like does that, or I guess I'm posing this question to him, like, is it even possible that this is a demon that is reconcilable with value, what we're trying to do?
He shrugs and says, I mean, in theory, a nature elemental is a kind of demon. It's all about the values that the demon holds. But I would say that the type that oppose these most directly are still evil.
So at best, they're potentially a weapon to be pointed.
At worst, a corrupting influence that would cause as much, if not more, damage than the very thing we're trying to fight.
All right, that's fair. So, all right, yeah. Thank you for researching that. I hope that ends up being a dead end. I think that being a dead end is probably better than most outcomes where it isn't a dead end. But it was worth looking into. We have to explore all possibilities here. So that is valuable knowledge that we.
He says, I'm far from done researching. I will continue my work.
Good, thank you.
And with a bite of an apple that you're not sure where he got, he goes back to work.
Do I recognize it from the thefts?
Yeah, they seem to be trading in these funny apples lately.
All right, fair enough.
Lone Firma, who would you like to bring with you to the Starmoot?
I think I only have one. Does my sniper count as a special guest,
Yes, he
essentially, or is
does.
that someone I just have?
No, he is an available character in your inventory. So yeah, any character in your inventory can be chosen to go with your leader to the Starmoot.
I'm definitely not picking my revolutionary. It probably makes the most sense for that person to be accompanying whoever leaves my city. So yeah, it'll be the bodyguard.
Okay. And Kashyyyk, the strange tree. Who would you like to bring with your Dirtatheth as his assistant?
I'm gonna bring a small entourage of Thess, and if he'll go, we'll also bring the squirrel as a sort of a cosmic joke, saying that there'll be great information there, and that he should bring as many apples as he's willing to part with, because it's going to be some pretty good stuff.
The squirrel is more than happy to attend.
We say, "Yeah, come along," and then we kind of snicker at you and chatter at each.
It reminds me of all the Ricks, like talking to dumb Rick.
That's pretty much right. Yeah, we're pranking the squirrels now become like a cultural rite of passage amongst the Thess. And the more apples you eat, the easier it gets. So
All right. You guys arrive in time to find the moot fully prepared. Great feasts laid out upon the table. But there are 2 additional guests here at the moot. They didn't bring their massive army this time. It's just the pair of them. But the Imperial representatives are here. The woman in her full plate armor and the mousy little assistant she brings with him in his robes and carrying his books and ledgers. The druids do some, simple convocations just to liven things up. Nothing really fancy. They put some fairy fire around the trees to make things a little brighter this time. Looks like some thought has been put into just generally keeping a nice upbeat mood for the troops that y'all brought with you. Yeah, the food flows, the trade flows, the squirrel has lots to hear and many apples to give. And you all end up seated around a table to discuss affairs of the realm. The Imperial representatives are keeping their distance from the table, waiting for an invitation. As the druid explains, they don't want to intrude upon purely internal matters of the southern coast. But when you're ready to hear them, they would like to speak. So the 5 of you may talk amongst yourselves, and when you're ready, you can call the Imperial representatives forward.
Oh, well, that was a interesting little bit of a fiasco.
So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm still surprised. Not exactly thrilled that the necromancer that invaded our coast escaped, but it all worked out. So really can't complain, I suppose.
Chime in and say, yeah, you guys all made quite a bit of noise, but then it quieted down nicely, so it was good.
Yes, I have ensured that the threat of the necromancer will not worry us anymore.
I was ready to make more noise.
And also, I am currently making dealings with the Empire to ensure that they are not as to make sure that they are on our best on our to make sure that we are well defended, just in case they accidentally let something on to us. I have embassies, a great embassy in one of the cities.
I'll kind of look at the pirate zombie. I'll be like, yeah, I see you have an undead army at your.
Oh, I was purposely not paying attention to what other people were bringing so that it wouldn't affect like what I brought. Did Tice bring a?
I have my second in command, Jacques, the undead pirate.
First Officer Shock.
I just kind of like to briefly observe the host of the Star Moot and just make sure that they're. I want to see if they have any visible reaction to there being an undead here, and if they don't, then I'll be relieved. So
The druids of the wilds, to them, death is part of life. So they're like seeing people avoid it is uncomfortable, but they're also incredibly confident that they could annihilate the undead by just sheer force of life magic. So they're not super worried about him like misbehaving, but yes, you do detect disdain. It's not the I hate you disdain, it's the sort of like you're a coward kind of disdain. It's like you took the easy way out. You didn't die, which would be the natural course of things. You've denied food for hungry fishes.
But yeah, as you can see, everything I've done is a betterment of this valley. I have not. My city is one of the cleanest cities for when it comes to the environment. We do not pillage it like some of the villages around me. Both the necromancer and my esteemed guest in my city have not run ravage through your cities, so I have dealt with them. I have also been the one that has procured some of the highly forbidden knowledges because my city is willing to sacrifice themselves to learn knowledges that I think you would say sane people would stay away from.
Just got vampire.
And a great deal of knowledge has been gathered by all. In your last Starmoot, you'd agreed to work together to study and had shared a lot of knowledge, gaining insight into the chaos in the north. Some of you have learned some things since then. Did anyone want to share, or are you keeping this knowledge to yourself?
I see no reason not to share, particularly. I want to make it clear that from what we've studied, we found that the forest to the north is a type of demon that cannot be reasoned with, cannot be bargained with. It's pure. They're purely forces of chaos and destruction. The only way to deal with them will be to either by force or by sealing them off or something of that nature.
So they are not from where are they? Are they from the sea? How'd they get here?
They're from another plane. They're extraplanar in nature.
So they must have if that is
the good preamp that he never did sell was the
there must be a way of to stop them from coming here.
Yeah, in theory, one would assume that there would be a portal or series of portals. Who knows how many that we could simply shut, but that would require getting to them and then dealing with the demons that remain. But yeah, any permanent solution would likely require eliminating the portal altogether.
Well, what about the power of a god?
I assume, I that would be a great deal of power indeed. Yeah, perhaps that would be a sufficient.
We might be able to come to a accord, but I must speak with you on the side about this.
Uh-oh, the magic users are forming a clique.
At this point, there's a bunch of drunk Jedi raccoons wandering around.
Are they Jedi's because they've been eating the apple?
We've been eating soured apples, and we are drunk and future-seeing Jedi raccoons at the moment.
Nice.
He'll be like, I see you've learned to ferment your apples. Good. You can make a fine cider with them.
Fine cider. These apples, the squirrel gives them to us. We told him the names of all the trees.
The squirrel is there and is quite pleased with everything he's hearing.
Would the names of all the trees be a thing of like any importance to me? Would that be something that I'd recognize as like important information?
It's only important when you need to talk to a specific tree.
Ah,
Knowing a tree's name gives you a great deal of influence over it when you're talking to it. But then again, it's one tree, kind of rooted in place. Broadly speaking, no, that list of names would not be useful.
It's also not entirely clear that we actually know the names of trees. We may just be pranking the squirrel.
The squirrel did bring a large quantity of apples with him today.
Yep.
And what would your name be? As I look up to the
Dinoco,
squirrel.
not Dino.
Did you ever name him?
What, the squirrel?
Yeah, I guess you're just calling him the squirrel.
We're just calling him the squirrel, yeah. I mean, he's not sentient, but he's got apples. He thinks he's sentient, which we believe is entirely cute. It's adorable.
Anyone speaking to the squirrel, then, he introduces himself as Ricotta. He's a squirrel, but also kind of like 3 feet tall, kind of like the raccoons. Is a very large and slightly anthropomorphized animal. So opposable thumbs, stands on hind legs, wears implements of clothing, a small cape, a backpack, some satchels on its belt, most of which is just laden with apples. There is, the one thing that's kind of interesting is there's a symbol hanging from a rope around his neck. The rope appears to be made of just woven vines. The symbol is an intertwining of steel and wood in the shape of a tree.
is that a symbol that we might recognize, or would it be alien to it?
You don't recognize this specific rendering of the symbol, but broadly speaking, the idea of a world's tree or a tree of life is rife throughout all of Druid culture.
Sure. Is there a tree of life that we're aware of that does in fact exist, or is it more like a mythological?
It's more mythological. It's less a literal concept and more of a metaphysical concept. The sort of idea of a first tree to ever be planted.
I'll say, the tree of life. That is a good signet.
He thanks you and says, "I hope one day to see you climbing amongst its branches."
That's as do I. I can't do that's. I can't tell if that's is that a threat? Is that like a really weird kind of threat? Is that a compliment? Is that?
It actually sounds slightly more religious than anything. Like it's one of
Okay.
those like religious mantra greetings, like people say amen.
Okay.
And they don't really mean anything by it necessarily. They're just generally being congenial and following their religious practice at the same time.
So yeah, I see you're with the thefts now. They are very industrious traders. You've picked good allies.
Indeed, I have been preaching the trade of information to them. They don't seem to fully grasp it. They will only trade information for goods. But I have plenty of goods to trade, and they have lots of information.
So yeah, I think their stance was that information does not have value unless they can forget it. But yeah, they certainly do have a great.
I see you may be somewhat more enlightened in the value of information trade, but I fear that I cannot roam too far from these fine furred friends of mine, as I do have need of their services in other regards.
Perhaps I can send. Perhaps I can introduce you to my emissary to the tree, and perhaps you could become better equipped.
That would be wonderful, especially if you have information for trade. I may too have information for trade, or, failing that, very tasty apples. The thefts will attest to that.
So as will several of my druids.
Hamburg homes
I-
because you
I also
could never find the
enjoy
word
the
for it.
trading of knowledge, for my city is filled with much knowledge.
Indeed, it is. There is much hidden within your books, and gears, and runes. The squirrel is taking on sort of a devious posture. You're not sure that that's intentional. It might just not be able to hide its delight and emotions at finding somebody that it thinks it can sucker out of some information. As the night wears on, the Imperial personnel seem to be getting slightly impatient.
Well, let's find out what they want. We can continue on the talks later.
Upon being called over to the table, they sort of rush over hurriedly. They've been waiting a great deal, and they hadn't been sort of resting or sleeping. They've been eyes focused, waiting for their turn for hours. Arriving at the table, the woman immediately says, "I have been disappointed by the lack of troops contributed to the defense of the wall." The man sort of smiles and pats. He's trying to pat her on the shoulder, but he just can't reach. So he's patting her on the side of the breastplate she wears, and he says, "There can be many other ways in which a city can contribute to the defense of their realm." She comments, says, "Could use food, supplies, mostly food. I think food would be an adequate contribution."
And why would we want to contribute?
You see rage go through her face at this idea, but the man is quick to interject and say, "It is merely for the good of everyone that the demons be kept at bay upon the wall. But soldiers on the wall need to be fed. A soldier on an empty belly may succumb to demonic corruption." We can, of course, fill these posts, but it may require that we take someone away from their farming duties. But if you are providing food, then this is not a problem.
We have a grand secret. If you find eggs and do not eat them, they become chickens. And if there is corn amongst the chickens, they will trade freely of more eggs that become more chickens. You can eat the chickens, some do, but you can also eat the eggs, which are delicious.
My God, man, that's exponential growth. What have you done? The Imperials stare at you as if you're just describing for them the difference between the ground and the sky, and kind of like, yeah, that's how chickens work.
Indeed, it is. And the theft that dropped this knowledge on them just scarfs down an egg and stumbles off into the undergrowth.
I'm picturing him doing that like mind blown motion as he steps away.
He kind of stumbles away. He's pretty drunk on apples at this point.
Well, if you wanted aid, you could have always sent someone to our embassy.
Indeed, and I believe we have. And it is from these embassies that we will be collecting your contributions. Now that was the woman speaking. The man pipes up and says, "Voluntary contributions, of course." She looks a little angry at him for saying that.
I don't know. I mean, I promised the only thing that I would do on my end was that I'd let my people know, and some of them did make their way to your outpost. and they haven't returned. I'm assuming they're still there. I don't know what more you could want from me because it doesn't sound like you're still providing a whole lot on my end. I mean, a lot of my trade have dealt in the I will offer protection for you paying me before, so I know your game.
We'll put the chickens in the box, but they like to wander.
I do have a solution. As my wonderful officer Jacques here can attest to, if they are allowed to pillage beyond the wall, they will gladly. They should be able to gladly take defense of the wall. They also do not require food.
She looks Jacques up and down, actually, kind of impressed. But then kind of says, I do not think he would return the same man. It could be a noble sacrifice. If, rather than pillage, if he simply rode out and just destroyed as much as possible until he was brought low. The worst that I fear is that he would come back serving the enemy. Many who go out find this to be their fate. Corrupted by the dark powers, they return to the wall in the service of chaos.
Maybe I shall. We shall do some more research and find it. Maybe there is some runes and magic that might be able to ward against the influence of chaos.
She says, I think you will be very useful to us. As for the rest of you, and again, she kind of scowls at the man and she says the word voluntary. Donations can be received at your embassies.
Yeah, I'll kind of chip in a bit, and I'll say,
I mean, do we have an embassy?
Not yet. She's implying that one's going to be created. The harvest is still a little bit off, so there's plenty of time for them to erect a tent or something for donations to be put under before they're carted away.
yeah, I'll just explain to her that I'll just say, yeah, I've got some druids under my command who are researching the nature of this threat, and we have uncovered some information about the demons themselves and their natural enemies so far. That investigation continues. We will learn all that we can in the interest of best fighting this enemy, and in the meantime, recognizing the urgency of this threat, we can certainly contribute food to your efforts.
She looks down at the man. They sort of exchange an odd look. He shrugs, and she says, excellent.
Meta-wise, these are this is all the same set of people, right? The wall is the empire.
Yes. To your knowledge, currently, the empire consists of 9 cities, 5 of which are above the mountains, and consist of aristocracy, military fortifications, and such. And 4 are beneath the mountain and consist of slave facilities for forcing the dwarves to manufacture weapons, armor, and food.
Yeah, so as far as I know, they're very well resourced, right?
Very. Their food stores are, as far as you can tell, limitless. And you haven't shared that information, I don't think. You did share that they have the food.
I shared that they have the food, and they have way more food than we ever will have.
Yeah, you just haven't shared
the information
why.
I shared. And no, I haven't shared why. So, one second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
While we're in the middle of that, and the Empire is just grumbling about the fact that I'm probably not going to help them, I go to my temporary ally before, and I introduce him to one of the hyenas. I believe you were going to help me. I don't know that I could have brought like the whole pack.
Yes, I actually basically my I'm trying to remember which is the loyalist and which is the uniter. The loyalist druid is the one who believes that so the loyalist druid I'll say I intend to with your blessing I intend to send him back with you for a time, for a season perhaps, so that he can aid you in the domestication of hyenas.
Oh, okay. I mean, if you would like, we can do an exchange, and I can send some people to your realm. I mean, maybe it'd be like general laborers, not really. They're not too skilled in anything that would interest you.
Sure. If you have trying to think what we really need. I mean, God, there's plenty of things we could use help with. I know if you could supply us with somebody who could perhaps help to build out our information network, that would certainly be something we would be.
Oh no, yeah, they can definitely do that.
Yeah, I know that's your wheelhouse. So
yeah,
I already assume that pretty much anything that is known among my followers is known by you already. So
probably in varying degrees of accuracy.
yeah, that's the one small comfort I get. Yes.
Lomfirma, I believe you were addressing the Imperials?
Yeah, sorry. So what I wanted to say was, you mentioned before on anyone that gets in the way is a problem, which is why we stayed away. That being said, we would consider sending engineers to inspect and possibly fortify the wall. They are not enlisting to the wall. They will inspect and fortify as long as needed to make sure the wall is strong and capable of keeping things and keeping standing. In exchange that they are, fed and taken care of, but they are not to stay on the wall permanently.
The man consults some books and shows her a ledger, and she says, "We do not need your engineering expertise. The engineers of the Empire are second to none, but laborers to carry stone and place them would be welcome."
Say, can your city sink into the ground? Because, I mean,
How fortified is your wall below the ground?
Not very, but I can keep moving.
That is an actual question to the Imperials or
He says,
Empires. However, it's instructed.
her response is, the wall's purpose is to stop not only the physical, but also the corruption, and it extends very deep. Corruption can come from all sides. Corruption can come on the wind, in the air. Our wall is impenetrable.
A drunk raccoon comes up with a basket full of eggs and says, just taps her on the thigh and says, "This is for your brave soldiers." And then he winks and says, "More where that came from."
You actually kind of hit a soft spot with her, and she smiles and accepts the gift. As a soldier, she has been drunk many times. Yes, it is very effective. Interestingly, the raccoons are aware that there is a gigantic vulnerability to the wall, which is that you can just walk around it. But they haven't shared that with anyone.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't have that information yet.
We haven't bothered to try to find out.
Yeah, I mean, she did just say there's no way for anything to get through the wall.
Yeah. Also, this what you said about the wall protecting against corruption. That's piqued my curiosity. And I'll just ask: Is it? Have you applied some kind of magical ward?
Yes, she says. That is the entirety of her answer. Just that single
See.
word.
Perhaps we could study that word and contribute to it in some way.
She says, I do not believe this to be true, but I will consult with our mages and experts, and I will determine what they believe a magical contribution would constitute.
All right. Thank you. I'll await your word.
On the topic of moving Earth, this is something that our people are good at. I'm still standing by my that should I send anybody, that they do not follow this forced enlistment on your wall idea. Like, they may leave once they've done a set of amount of work. They are assisting, but not permanently.
She says, of course, that will be up to them to decide. Once they are on the wall, they are free men to decide if they wish to remain or wish to continue to contribute.
What was that last word?
That they are free to decide if they wish to remain or continue to contribute. She basically said the same thing twice.
Yeah.
This is what you learned from your private intelligence briefing on the dwarves under it. The main way that they're enslaved is by systems of debts. So they're not enslaved by chains and collars so much as they're enslaved by they're kept in debt from gambling practices that are intentionally rigged to be unfair. They can gamble for better treatment, better food, better accommodations, but the games are rigged, and they tend to lose and find themselves forced to perform labor for a period of time to pay off the debt. This system, is basically keeping the 4 cities worth of dwarves endangered indefinitely to the Empire.
Yeah, I remember that.
You find it unlikely that your people would return to you based on your intel.
Yeah, I have other plans, but I would need a way to reach the people and have them do what I want them to do. But yeah, the wall is very much a one-way ticket because they keep saying different things about that. So I don't want to send more people to communicate, lose more people. Okay, I'll just end saying I will take this into consideration and confer with my further confer with my council.
Very well. We have heard the answer from all the people and received this wonderful basket of eggs, and so we take our leave. Our caravans will arrive within the month to set up tents for those cities that do not have formal embassies, and when your contributions are ready, whatever form they take, we will deliver them after the harvest.
Okay, cool, no problem. Have fun finding my city, and if you find it, have fun chasing after it.
Yeah, they'll also be setting an embassy up above ground somewhere for mine, and who knows how close to the city it'll be. They will
help
never
you
have
get-
that information.
Can help you get rid of it if you'd like.
Yeah, ultimately, Max, they make it known where their tent is. They don't really go out of their way to try and find your city. They just make sure your people know how to find them if they want to. They set up by a
Alright.
large landmark in the waste. It's a giant rock that's easy to find. And yeah, and that's where they sit for a couple months. In the case of Loma Firma, again, they're not really interested in finding you. They just set up a tent somewhere above ground near your city, make sure it's in an obvious place everyone can see. There's big colorful flags around it. And their people hang out there collecting whatever contributions your people decide to give them for a couple months before leaving. In the case of Runeterra, they have a formal embassy, and so they're all communications will go through the embassy. In the case of the thefts, they come out, but they don't bring anything to trade. So I'm assuming at some point you end up taking all of or most of their weapons and boots and things. They have to sleep at some point.
We replaced them with chickens, but I mean the chickens are free to wander out of the tent. So well, we don't tell chickens what to do. I mean, you know.
It's a very strange couple of months. Korath and Tenuin, you guys do have the unique opportunity that they could actually build a proper embassy there, since you guys are not overtly rejecting them and the location of your city is fairly obvious. They won't if you don't want them to. They'll just set up their tents.
I mean, I don't see any particular reason to deny that to them. So sure, why not?
Okay. They do their best to imitate the sort of the materials that you use for your construction, the idea of a stone base with wooden things, but the architecture is different, and probably meant to be more homey for their personnel.
Sure.
More of what they're used to from back home.
That's fine. Our citizenship includes people from, all sorts of different city states and stuff. So that's really not that unusual to us.
The ambassadors that they send are fairly cunning people. They're not easily fooled, and they're not subject to being drawn into debates about Druidic philosophy. They mostly are strictly business and do their thing. And so it's time to feed our people. But in this particular feeding session, you have the option to grow excess food and contribute it, or contribute in other ways to the Empire. I'm going to go ahead and roll to see how hungry your people are this turn. Oh, we lost Max. Absolutely minimal hunger this turn, only 3 points each. This is also an opportunity for you guys to take your actions to make improvements around the place, try and clear out taxes. Each of your characters gets to take an action, and then you can take additional actions on top of that by taxing the characters. Tice, in addition to the first officer of the undead, you also have a helmsman and a cartographer. The helmsman and cartographer are they're quality 4. There unfortunately is no undead chef, as hilarious as that would be.
So cartographer and what?
And a helmsman. Helmsmen are experts at piloting boats. Cartographers are experts at reading maps. Cartographers are also renowned for being able to navigate merely by looking at the stars in the sky. I hope Max is okay.
Yeah, I think it's like his computer. I think accidentally shut down or something because he also just went offline.
Windows update.
Let's see here.
So he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone for an hour or so.
All right, well, we'll go through everyone else resolving their stuff. So let's just start at the other end of the spectrum. The strange tree. You've got 3 hunger to resolve. How would you like to take care of it?
I mean, we're gonna trade as we do. If we need to, we'll tax our chickens. But I mean, we're gonna trade. I mean, the soldiers or whoever's come over for the embassy, maybe they have food, so we'll trade with them for food. Also, just generally forage. We're going to be trading with the trees. I mean, it's harvesty foraging season, so. Okay. So
The trees are having a clearance sale.
yeah, that's right.
All right. So your hunger's taken care of, and you've got 3 extra food left over. Do you want to donate it to the Empire, or do you want to save it to maybe help somebody else who doesn't roll as fortunately as you?
I mean, if we have excess food, then that's something that I mean, we value food above a lot of things. So if we have excess food, we will trade it with whoever is closest to get it out. The chickens come first because they're everywhere at this point. So we'll trade 1 pip with the chickens, and then maybe upgrade our chickens from a 2 to a 3, and then trade the rest with the Empire if they happen to be.
And it was the Dirte Theft that made the roll, right? That was the...
Yeah, him and his little entourage of traders.
All right. The other characters, of which I think you have 2, right? There's a theft that had returned from a religious pilgrimage, and then also you have the squirrel. They can also take actions. Yeah. You can reserve that until everyone else is done with their food, or if there's something you want to do right away.
I mean, there's nothing specific anyone's doing except continue to prank the squirrel and get drunk on more apples. We're finding that the more drunk we are on apples, the easier it is for us to trade and find things. So we like being drunk on apples. And then in terms of food, we'll trade back with the Empire or whatever. At this stage, we're probably offering them their own weapons back. So
okay. In that case, Lom Firma, you're up next. You have 3 hunger to resolve. It's okay to hold your actions too, if you need to hold someone in reserve, as there will be events happening after this free moment. But yeah.
Oh, you're saying to not use people?
Right. So you don't have to use everybody if you want to save somebody in case an event comes up that requires some taxing. Because every character gets 1 free action before they start getting taxed. And I believe you have 3 characters currently. You have your head councilman, your sniper, and your Earth Druid.
Yeah, my revolutionary isn't helpful, and he may actually.
Oh
be
yeah,
getting...
you do have your revolutionary. I mean, he's part of your city. He can do revolutionary style things.
Well, what is he at this point? He's a person I threw in jail.
Yeah, you have him in jail, which means you could release him to try and use him as an asset in circumstances that may warrant such a thing.
I mean, the easiest thing to do with him right now might be actually contribute to the wall.
Yeah, exile him to the wall. Done. Take the black.
He just goes missing, and then nobody knows where he is. And if the next revolutionary happens, then maybe that's where.
System of debt slavery, right? Just send him there with the dice.
I didn't know. I didn't even think about having this like free jail. I don't have to worry about people coming back from, because they can't. It's not even like the black. Like they leave once in a while. No, I'll consider that later. Most likely, it's just going to be the Earth-based druid, and it's going to be built into kind of how things run now. And he, toward the harvest or whatever, he sets up the ground and the tunnels for increased agriculture gains and such. And so that's kind of like a built-in thing. So that's his job right now. So he'll be doing basically what we did last time. But
But hopefully rolling better.
yeah, exactly. So I'm doing it's economy, right? If I'm doing food-based stuff, or not economy, but culture, if that's like built into the system. It doesn't really matter. They're both the same. I'm just trying to think of how to understand it.
For some, it might be considered industry as well, but yeah, basically, because the way you do things, it's more.
I mean, I can always argue infrastructure, but
no, actually, that's quite reasonable. Infrastructure plus agriculture.
just because it's built this way, and I have the druid basically creating the land and doing it and setting it up.
Yeah, that's a very reasonable roll to make.
And our person's giving pips, right?
Yes, the person who's executing the action grants pips towards it. Your cup overflows.
All right.
Were there any other immediate actions you wanted to take, or do you want to wait?
Yeah, can I not? Can I like basically hold these in reserve based on other things that are going on?
Yes, you can.
That is what I want to do.
Korath and Danuan. You
All
have
right.
3 hunger to resolve. The river flows once more.
Nice. All right. So if I use magical gardens, is it a person that has to execute that? Is it like an action? Does a person have to take an action to use magical gardens?
Yes. The magic
Okay.
does not flow of its own volition. Such magics would grow wild forests, not gardens.
Sure.
The magic
All right.
must be shaped by a conscious mind.
And then I have a second question. I'm wondering, is my king able to take an action where he basically just studies and attempts to become a more powerful druid?
Yes. Yes, he can.
Okay.
He will need a number of successes equal to the quality that he's ascending to. So what quality is he currently?
He's 6 right now.
Okay, so he'll need 7 successes to train up. What is he training in?
And in basic druidism and druidic magic.
Okay, just culture plus scholarship.
That is a dicey roll. I don't think I can actually succeed that roll. So yeah, I'm gonna hold off on that. I'm not gonna do that. I would basically need to hit every success. Yeah. So instead, I will use my my Unifier Druid to attempt to recruit more druids kind of into my circle.
Okay.
And I forget what I'd even be rolling for that. I know I've done it before, but I forget what I rolled.
And you use your magical gardens to get the food taken care of?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm probably going to have the same druid. I'm probably just gonna end up taxing him and have him also take care of the magical gardens. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Are you going to contribute anything to the Imperial Wall Defense Fund?
Yes, I'm gonna. Basically, how many successes does using magical gardens grant me?
A number equal to your agriculture.
Okay, so that would be 4. In that case, maybe I should just roll for it instead of you. Can I just do it twice?
Yeah. You
Oh
get
yeah,
4 the first time and 3 the second time.
All right.
So that would give you an excess of 4 food.
Cool. Yeah, and I'll send that excess up to the Empire.
Okay. Alrighty. Is there anything else that you wanted to do this turn?
Yeah.
I know you made some
So
promises about hyenas.
yeah, so I'm gonna my loyalist I believe is right now over with the Wandering Rat. So yeah, he would like to attempt to assist them using his his understanding of agriculture and his druidic magic to assist them in domesticating their hyenas.
Alright. We'll let Max know when he gets back up.
And is that something? Would that be like a culture agriculture role?
Yes. Which is good
Okay.
because he has, like, none of that.
All right. Should I just roll that?
Yeah. I think,
All right.
yeah, for him it's infrastructure plus agriculture is what he needs to roll, and then he'll add your successes as a
All right.
cooperative endeavor.
Cool. Well, I got 4 successes. It was actually a pretty bad roll, but luckily the pips pulled it out. And then I would like to use my king to recover tax.
Okay. Tax on himself or tax elsewhere in the city?
Tax elsewhere in the city. Particularly the 2 taxes I'm really interested in. Or there's 3 taxes I'm theoretically interested in taking out: the agriculture tax, the potential tax, and the tax on the fire siege wand.
Which aspect of your city would you like him to work on first?
First, probably be the fire siege wand. I want that operating at full capacity.
All right. This is a industry plus scholarship. You can repair your fire siege by the number of successes you get.
All right. Well, it was only taxed by 1, so that was a slight overkill.
Hey, that'll do. They're back up to full functionality. All right.
All right.
Next up. Oh, more to do?
For now, I should probably hold off on the rest, I suppose. I mean, I would like Uthalor to continue. I don't know if that. Basically, I just want him to keep doing what he's doing, which is researching the demons.
And that he is doing with gusto. He thinks he's worked out the name of the.
So for now, I'd say that's it.
Uthalor believes that he's worked out the name of the demons that are opposed to the chaotic demons.
Okay.
He says, I believe they call themselves the Beatazu. There seems to be an ancient feud between the Beatazu and the Tanari. Tanari being demons of chaos, and the Beatazu being demons of a more mischievous form of evil. Whereas the Tanari ignore all rules and corrupt in a mindless fashion, the Beatazu twist the rules to work against people. The rules become their own weapons. It's a much more insidious form of corruption. I would hesitate to call upon them in this battle.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, I share your sentiment.
Says, I will keep searching the tomes. I have not given up. All right, and Runeterra, you have 3 hunger to deal with?
Yes, indeed. I'm going to deal this hunger by the Dirty Theft said before that they've been like pranking that squirrel with knowledge. I'm going to be offering them written knowledge in trade for food because they can use it to as a trading bargain for more apples from the squirrel.
Very true.
And that would be diplomacy and culture or industry.
If you're trying to trade with them for apples, that really is economy plus trade. However, he also rolled way more successes than he needed to, so you could just ask Ed, and perhaps they'll donate some food, but it depends. They may want something in return. Diplomatic relations are open now. If you can successfully agree to some arrangement wherein Ed gives you his successes, you don't need to utilize any of your leaders for the action to feed your people. He has enough excess successes to feed your people as well as his. If not, then you can make a roll, and you can try and run your trade plus economy to see how much you can get out of his people. It's not an opposed roll, it's just general commerce happening amongst the merchants.
Yeah. See here. If that's the case, I might just I might go agriculture industry.
Okay.
And basically, like the little stuff I have in the city for food or whatever, I'm going to like grow it. And do I need to use a leader for that?
Yes, you'll need to pick a leader. You get to add his pips to whatever's going on, and then yep, and then that person, that'll be their action for this turn. Your other leaders will also get actions. Leaders that take multiple actions
Jacques.
are taxed.
Yeah, Shock will help. Will help.
Alright.
With, I'll help him. I'll get him to like keep an eye on stuff and like yeah. So yes, 2 plus 2 is 4 dice plus 6 pips.
Thank God for those pips.
Indeed. So you've resolved
nap.
2 of your people's hunger. There's 1 hunger remaining.
Water on that side.
I can tax my composure. Just the idea of undead, sort of like helping feed people.
Okay. That'll do.
It's weird. Instead of saying brains, they're like putting their hands out and saying grains.
Every undead can just carve a little flank off themselves, fry it up.
And my leader, he's going to go on a little break. He's quite taxed.
It's going to take a spa day. Cool. Alrighty. Strange things are afoot at the strange tree. A twist in the tree's roots has a hole, and the hole flares with light, and a creature emerges. It's kind of the size and shape of a lot of the people that you deal with from the other kingdoms, but it smells very, very different.
All right. I mean,
Yeah. Steam rises from it at all times.
can we trade with it?
Apparently.
All right, then we will begin to do so.
And it appears to be a friend of the Ratask, the squirrel.
Ah, okay. Well, I mean, the Ratask is at this point growing on us. So
yeah, I mean, it's an associate of the Ratask. The Ratask brought it here through some strange circle of light, and that it uses occasionally to leap back and forth somewhere. And and so it is here.
Fair enough.
For the moment, anyway, it is part of your little society while it gathers its bearings and prepares for its own agendas. You may name it.
What does it look like?
It's otherwise a mostly humanoid creature, but its skin has an unusual sort of blue-gray color, and steam is rising off of it at all times.
Okay, we'll call it the friend of the squirrel.
Squirrel friend! Lome Firma. Down in the depths of your society, down in the ancient great halls, someone has heard a knocking of stone. A steady, rhythmic beating of metal on earth. Something is coming. Something is tunneling through the dirt and rock. And it's tunneling with great speed and efficiency directly towards your people. It's coming from below at about a 45-degree slant. How do you wish to prepare? Stone is no barrier to it, whatever it is.
Can I tell anything about it, size-wise or anything like that?
How good are your people at like echolocation within rock?
Well, I took keen ground movement as a trait.
Okay, so yeah, it is. It seems to be a fairly large. It's also very precise. So it is moving in a perfectly square tunnel, and its many hands are striking metal against stone, crafting a perfectly square tunnel, moving at a perfect 45-degree angle up to you. The tunnel is exactly 37 feet wide by 37 feet tall. Meaning very big.
Okay, I mean, I know the exact angle, right?
Yes. You know the exact arrival point as well.
Yeah, so do I know? Do I have a rough idea of how far away it would breach? Like how far, how much time before it would breach?
About an hour. This is not because your people got a late warning, but is in fact because it is moving with such tremendous speed.
Okay, what was that? What was that size again?
37 feet.
It's a lot of feet.
It is. This is a big one. It's bigger than the stuff that you guys use. Like they're building a tunnel. Whatever is coming, it's making a tunnel that's larger than what you generally use for your own people.
Yeah, I mean, but what I want to do is I want to quarantine that shape toward the surface.
It does not look like they're going to impact the surface. It looks like they're going to impact your some of your lower chambers.
Well, yeah, the thing I'm trying to think of right now is how to build up that space so that they continue tunneling.
Ah, okay. So you basically want to fill in the space rapidly.
Yes, and I've already had my druid do stuff, but this might be a taxable thing for him, considering he would be the most capable of doing this.
Yeah, he could
I
fill it by magic. The rest
I
of your
also have the
people.
staff of growth,
That's true.
which I'm assuming I just. But you said that would be an increase on agriculturals, but I'm assuming I could just fill that space with stuff like.
With like roots and things, yeah.
So that there's never a breaching point until it actually reaches the surface.
Those are probably the two options that are most likely to accomplish it within the hour.
Okay, so if I use my staff, can I combine it with things? Or is that like the staff itself on its own?
The staff can be used by your druid.
Okay, so I think at this point, taxing him is the best. I mean, yeah, he's the most efficient at what I want to. So yeah, he will be equipped with the staff, or given the staff. He basically already knows how to use it. He just does. And the idea is the standing guard of the public sectors will basically quarantine out the area they're aware of, and control that no one is in that space. If this is destroying homes, that's fine. People will be evacuating their public spaces or their spaces and such. They will be removed from their homes or whatever, and it'll.
Okay, so this sounds like a logistics problem, and I would say that the
Well, it's
primary
like
attribute would be your infrastructure.
yeah. I'm not.
You're not using your labor force to do this. You're using a wizard. But you're getting pips from both the wizard and his staff.
I assume I don't have enough time to do both of the things I'm describing doing.
No.
Like, no simultaneous actions.
They would trip over each other trying to accomplish it. You'd end up with people buried alive. I mean, if you're okay with that, then sure.
I mean, the objective was for the druid to basically use magic and use the staff to fill that space from the tunnel to the surface. And then I was thinking that the like standing army would be in charge of removing people from that spaces at the same time. But if that's not something that can happen, then the only job is to have the druid make solid space for that tunnel. That's what I was thinking, and then I realized I was coming up with two simultaneous actions, and even though it's separate people doing them, I don't know if we're doing that.
Well, no, I mean, this is, yeah, so...
Like, I could have the council ordering it, but doing one thing, the council member doing one thing, and then the Earth-based druid doing something else. But I don't know if we can do stuff at the same time.
I'm gonna say no. You'll need to pick a strategy here. Trying to
Okay,
implement
so
both
then
will
it's-
mean that you run out of time and neither gets implemented.
Yeah, and that's what I was wondering. Still trying to get used to having this many people to interact with at the same time. Okay, so it's
The druid can just freaking pass wall, so like he's not gonna have trouble getting around. Really, the big issue is getting the tunnels clear before he comes through, so you don't take casualties. And that's an infrastructure plus logistics issue.
okay. So I wouldn't be rolling necessarily to have him be able to set up the thing.
No, you're mostly rolling to see if he sets it up without causing damage to things.
Got it.
Bear in mind, of course, if he does cause damage to things, that might impede your ability to set up the rest of it. But yeah, that's the main point at risk here is that because he's going to be inside the rock and he doesn't have flawless directional sense, so you want to make sure he's setting things up right.
Okay, now I'm somewhat lost on what I'm doing.
Infrastructure, because your facility is set up for isolating groups rapidly. And logistics for the challenge of getting people out of the way and directing the druid to the correct places.
Okay. Got it. That makes sense. All right, so when using the druid and the staff, that would be pips of those two added together.
Correct.
And because I'm using the staff, would I be taxing it?
Yes. If this is not the druid's first turn, you'll also be taxing him.
Which I am.
Am I not seeing it? Oh, did you roll in Talus instead of Session?
No, I haven't rolled yet. I
okay.
was counting.
Boom! Nailed it.
Okay, 6 successes, whatever that means.
When the tunnel breaches the top of the mountain, it arrives at a very precise place where there's flat ground to meet it, but then the mountain rises. The stone crumbles away, and a makeshift wooden sort of frame is behind it, some kind of scaffolding, with numerous dwarves upon it carving. They rapidly carve a decorative outer landing, including statues of dwarves, celebrating freedom. Behind it is a collection of about 37 dwarves. So they're measured their tunnel by the number of them that they had, and worked together as a single unit to perform some amazing engineering. But they are refugees. They are here to escape, and they're basically trying to escape their debts from the Empire. If they encounter you at all, then they ask for asylum from the Empire. If they do not encounter you, then they wander off into the wilderness.
So they're right outside. They still came out basically right outside my gates.
Yes. And they built a beautiful entryway to their tunnel.
So I had meta, I knew exactly what this was, but I wanted to play it out right. So I'll have guards up there walking around. So if they see them, which I'm assuming they will.
Oh yeah, no, you spot these guys. You've been tracking them.
I also hope that tent's nowhere nearby. This is way after that, or well, this is about the same time, right?
No, you've already sent off your food. So if you didn't give them any food, then they packed up and left. The Empire is gone.
Perfect. I had this whole thing where I wanted to make sure that it was a makeshift tent, and I was going to send people up to give them notices, like little pieces of paper that showed the most effective way to move rock around. And all the while measuring out their tent setup to build landfalls under their tents. So their people would randomly go missing. That did happen, but they moved their tents away. So if they decide to set them up again, it might be interesting. I wanted to do that. I didn't want to send food with them, but we can say that I did actually send the revolutionary with them, I think.
Okay.
And so that
the revolutionary knows secrets about your people underground, though. Are you sure you want to give him up?
I mean, he can't come back. but that is true. Maybe I don't.
Up till now, you've had very strict information control protocols, where you haven't allowed the outside world to know you have an Undercity,
Yeah, that's true.
and you haven't allowed the Undercity to know there is an outside world.
Yeah, I was thinking about the opportunity of sending someone out and not worrying about him coming back, but that does give all of them a lot of information, and so far most people know, the outside people know about 1 tier down, they don't know about 2 tier down. So yeah, I'll say I didn't send him, and because I had excess food, I didn't have to like give it off to anybody, which that was my plan. We can say I sent it off to them, even though I'm aware of what's going on. So aside from that, so if they ran into my guards, and you said they'd be like seeking asylum, they would be saying that.
Yes, that's exactly what they want. They're seeking asylum from the Empire. Yeah, they're honest about
Okay.
it. They're like, we have debts that cannot be repaid, and we are aware that it is a trick, that they're not dealing with us honestly, and so we have escaped and are seeking asylum here. We heard the digging of your people from miles away, and have come seeking their aid.
Good. We had been notified that if you were peaceful, to bring you to the audience chambers for the council if you'd follow me. And my guards will instruct them to an extra way to bring them into an audience chambers.
They seem to be represented by a trio of people, 3 dwarves that seem to be sort of the leaders that the rest look up to. One of them because he is a pretty good warrior. He's helped them fight beasts in the underworld, and just generally has been a stand-up kind of leader. Another one is a brilliant engineer. He's just really good at like designing and understanding architecture, infrastructure, and the movements of rocks. And the third is an inventor, a tinkerer who develops contraptions. While all of them are available, they're willing to sort of dedicate one of them to be the sort of permanent liaison between yourselves and the dwarf refugees. You may choose which one, and that person will be added to your country's inventory. The others will stay among their people to care for them.
An engineer who's really good with rocks, and an inventor, and then there's a warrior.
Yes. A warrior, an engineer, and a tinker. The tinker invents small, intricate things that do interesting things. The engineer knows the movements of rocks better than any other, and the warrior can swing his axe with great skill.
Well, I think it's I have no shortage of basically that engineer, seeing as what I just did. Would the inventor have anything like on him, like an example of something?
Yes. He has some small alchemical devices that can shoot bursts of fire, as well as a repeating crossbow that is, you turn a crank and it fires repeated bolts.
Okay, so I would probably enlist or ask that the inventor stay and start working with our people to kind of see what we could build from what he does.
All right. A quality 6 dwarven inventor has joined your team. You also do have a small population now of Dwarven refugees.
And yeah, we'll set them up on the outer city.
Okay.
I'm sure they have no problem building their own tunnel set.
No issues whatsoever, especially since you let them keep their primary builder. They carve. They manage to keep it scaled down to what the rest of your city is like, but you can tell they're just itching to make grand architecture.
Yeah, I the only specification I'll make is that they can't breach, like, and I'll give them a mapping of the ground in the area that they are not allowed to go.
They also seem
request
to
that they
find
don't.
ways to implement some luxuries by capturing water from an above ground stream. And so there is a beautiful fountain falling from the center of their primary room, which then feeds into functioning showers and, they have flushing toilets. Their tech is very impressive. Meanwhile, in Korth and Denuin, the young scholar who was checking up on Uthalor as he was researching has prepared a report for the king, if she can have audience.
Yeah, of course.
She's quite concerned because she's been reading what Uthalor has been reporting and noted that none of what he's reporting is in any texts that he has read. She surmises that he is either acquiring this through magic or memory, and not through actual research of books. But she has been looking at what he's been reading, and what he's been reading primarily relates to theology of an old god, an old religion.
Oh, interesting.
Something that is, as far as you can tell, nothing, or as far as she can tell, nothing to do with the demons at all.
Okay. Is there anything particularly noteworthy that she's learned from reading the same text that would indicate why he has chosen this text to read, despite it having nothing to do with the topic?
Oh, texts, she says, and she lays down more. He's been studying astrology, the positions of stars. He's been studying the geography surrounding the star Moot. All kinds of things that have nothing to do with the demons. And she's not sure how they interconnect, but she has indicated that in none of the books whatsoever is there any mention of Tanari or Beatazu. Those names do not appear in the library as far as she can tell. She hasn't searched the entire library, but she has read every book that he's picked up.
Interesting. Also, thank you, first of all, for bringing this to my attention. So yeah, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I think it's becoming increasingly clear that we need more eyes and ears on this, and we probably are going to need a better understanding of where he's coming from. He came to us freely, so I have to assume he's operating in good faith for now.
She says, I just hope he's not making this stuff up.
Yeah. Yeah, we should try to find some way to corroborate what he has told us, just to verify that it's actually true. Because if it is true, that makes him a very valuable source of information. By whatever means he's getting this knowledge, it is. If it's true, then it's important.
You do have diplomats there, Tice, so you could initiate the conversation if you wish.
Okay, because I just remembered that we were going to have a conversation a little while back. Remember, it was during the moot I was going to pull you aside. But yeah. Because, my diplomats will be inquiring about if you have had anyone new come to the city. Because they might have some questions that I need to talk to them. Possibly about a dying god.
I'm going to refrain from answering that affirmatively, at least for now. But having had that conversation, I now have a, in a meta sense, I'd already made the connection. But now that we've had this conversation, my king can actually make that connection. And I think you'd like to have a conversation with Uthalor.
Okay. Uthalor is currently, as best a druid can be, at your command, so you can summon him.
Sure. So say, Uthalor, my understanding, I have reason to believe that you're perhaps more or different than you've presented yourself as.
We druids of the wilds all have our little differences, he says.
Yes, of course, of course. I'm interested. The Tanari and the Bayadazu, what you told me about them. Where, how do you know this information?
Through research and study, of course.
And nothing else, just purely through the study of these tomes here.
Not only these tomes. We've been offered a broad array of resources throughout the kingdoms.
So, okay, and could you perhaps tell me a little bit about the god that you worship?
He smiles, says, quite the god. Quite the god.
Yeah, so to clarify, I'm not here to cast judgment. I'm sincerely curious. I would like to hear whatever you're willing to tell me.
Oh, when I was a youth, it was, this was the god that brought me up from nothing, really, from a kid on the streets. But in this god, I saw truths that I could be better than I was. He raised me up. He taught me powers, but most of all, he taught me freedom. Freedom to think, freedom to find my own philosophies. As a god not of inscribing directives, but a god of opening the mind to see the possibilities. Of course, I've fallen on hard times in the past, and my faith has always been tested from time to time. But I think I may be the last follower of this old religion.
So yeah, that sounds like a worthy god that you've chosen.
Thank
Say,
you.
say,
I hope to prove myself worthy. I think, though, that my time here may have come to an end. Not amongst your people, but specifically in the service of your court. It is perhaps best if I return to aid the druids of the moot.
Yeah, that's fair. I would have you know that I believe that Runeterra, a city state that I'm sure at this point you're well familiar with, they seek you and they seek an audience with you. When they pressed me information, I declined to give them any. That is entirely your choice if you wish to aid them or not. Personally, I have a great deal of distaste for their kind of their general guiding philosophy in life. But that's your call to make. If you wish to to go and see them, I would caution you that they don't seem to treat their people particularly well. But that avenue is open to you if you wish to pursue it.
I thank you for your discretion. I believe I will decline their invitation. I don't think I could bear to stand within their walls of their city.
That's fair, and in that case, I'll caution you that if they get wind of who you are, they will come for. based on how they've dealt with others in the past, they will come for you, and your consent will have no say in the matter. But if that happens, you do have an ally in us.
Thank you. And I do not think of them as an enemy. So I hope that you will not think of them as an enemy. I feel that they will be invaluable in helping you with the true enemy in the end.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah, that is simply a warning to you that if they know who you are, you may not have choice in the matter, as they say.
We shall see. As my god once told me in a dream, all paths lie open to you until you choose to close them. All right, so he takes his leave of your court and is no longer available to you as an asset. He did leave under amicable terms, though. Let's see, and last up is Runeterra. There is talk rising up amongst your people of something they're calling the Angel Below. It's something spreading, basically spreading concepts among your people of ambition. They speak of a winged angel that helps people who are trying their best, but having a little bit of a struggle of it underneath. And with a little bit of a guiding hand helps lift them up and bring them to power. This angel does not seem to present itself to the nobility of your city. It only dwells in the undercities beneath the gears, and so far is just a rumor. No one has physical evidence of it really existing. But the rumor has finally reached the ears of your aristocracy.
I see. So there's someone possibly parading as some kind of false angel. Huh. I'll be sending like one of the things I'll do is I'll be sending guards down disguised as like peasants and stuff, and like it's like some of you might be accidentally sacrificed to the gears, but it's for due cause to root out whatever this infection is in the city. If it's possible. But if it's nothing, then we'll just root out whoever this man is that is making these false claims and have him executed.
Very good. Who are you charging with this task? This will be an intrigue plus investigation roll.
I'm going to ask for the help from my not vampire guest.
Okay.
Because he knows the under the depths of the city.
Indeed he does.
So intrigue plus investigation, so 8 dice plus d6, I think. No, 6. Yeah.
Wow. All right. He returns to you and says, "It is only rumors. The angel is not real, but these rumors should be squashed." He suggests that perhaps if you would fund him a bit of blood, he might be able to fake an angel for you to catch.
Yes, of course. I'll pay for services.
Very good. And so he arranges to have one of your guards dressed up in a weird robe with feathers and feathery wings that he rigs together out of wax and sticks. Sets the guy loose in the Undercity. He's nearly crushed by a gear before he's captured. As I think he starts to realize that he's not going to survive the process of proving angels don't exist. After a merry chase, the angel is brought forth in a cage and fed to a gear. And you're not a vampire, friend, says, I believe the matter is now well and done with. Are there any other actions you'd like to take?
Yeah, I'm thinking here because I've used my second was it vampire and Jacques right now. So I have a helmsman and a star guy.
Yes, the helmsman and the navigator. Cartographer by trade.
Let's see here. I will. I'll just get the cartographer to remove the tax to help remove the tax from my what's it called scholarship.
Okay. He's good for that, so yeah, he'll just take care of that. He is a scholar. Like, that's his thing. He studies the sky. He'll clear that. All right, this concludes this session, and this concludes the city portion of the adventure for now. When we start the next session, we're going to be working on characters. So you're going to be taking your king and making a character sheet for the king, and you will be selecting your representative at the next moot. A full winter will have passed. So for that winter, you may award your city 5 experience points, just to help them grow and develop. And then in the springtime, we'll be taking these new characters on a little adventure. It's going to be the king, your one of your lieutenants you'll be making as a character, the one you're going to take to this moot, and then that lieutenant will be bringing with them an apprentice of some sort. Either a squire, a student, a scholar, some lowly apprentice. We'll discuss next session what those apprentices' stats will be. Basically, can you hear me okay? Okay,
Yes.
Good. Yeah, basically, the king is going to have pretty good stats. The guy that your sort of your hero, champion, whatever the king's bringing, is going to have a highly specialized set of stats. So the king will be just generally good across the board. Your hero is going to be super specialized. And your squire is going to have basically no stats or experience whatsoever. So these should be some interesting characters to play. We're going to start with the squires. That's going to be the first characters that we play as they go on a little adventure on their way to the moot. And then we'll pick up with the kings and lords. So think about what characters you would like to have. These are going to be the characters we continue the campaign with from this point.
Yeah, that reminds me. I guess there was a scene that happens in my embassy because I know
well, your
Echelon had a scene.
If you're if your diplomat from the Empire is going to be your character, if you're the hero to accompany your king, then your sort of squire character will probably be somebody from the embassy.
Okay.
Just some random clerk, probably like an intern or something, visiting from the Empire.
Can I make like the lord or lieutenant be somebody that's not actually on my city character sheet? Specifically the scholar that was researching under
Oh,
lore.
yes, absolutely. That is not a problem.
Cool, I will do that then.
I
So
had
that's a
sort of
way-
expected you wanted very powerful people, but yeah, the scholar. That's or alternatively, the scholar could be the low level character. That would make a lot of sense to me if you wanted that, but that's up to you.
Cool. Yeah, Heather's fine with me. Just because otherwise it's just going to be druids all the way down. That seems kind of redundant.
Yeah,
Although I guess she's a druid too, sort of. But whatever.
Sort
it's
of,
a different.
but-
It's a different focus.
she's super young, and so she can kind of go in whatever direction you want to take her in. She doesn't know any magic yet, so yeah, that's totally a doable character, and that would be a great squire to have along with one of your more powerful characters.
Cool. Yeah, I'll probably do that then.
Miles, I just have to be like 1/16th druid or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
They say that she's great with the gardens. She has the green finger, you might say.
Yeah.
I'm assuming my guy just came through the tree.
Yeah, that was the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that can be your
Squirrel friend.
squirrel friend, and possibly squirrel. I don't know, or maybe theft, maybe the long distance theft, and then of course your the Dirtithef.
Yeah, I'm probably mostly gonna switch over to my planar person.
The main thing is that guy that came through the portal. He's gonna be your main guy. All right. Max also had an event that was scheduled to happen in his empire. He's not here to see it, but I just want to put it onto the video record that his Earth Wizard trying to summon an Earth Elemental accidentally screwed up the spell and ended up summoning a person. He's an alchemist who seems to be addled in the head, but has very powerful potions, and so he'll be bringing that character with him to the next Darmoot. And that concludes the session. You guys can go ahead and give out experience points to each other.
Okay. I'd like to give one. Can I still give one to Max?
Yes, yeah.
I like to
Even
give
though
one
he's
to
not
Max.
here, he did play this session, so.
Yeah, to be basically he was basically the backdoor man. Just like it's like hey, you want like the city, come in. He was like chauffeur. I like to give one to Kite for basically just kiting the mysterious machine up to the up to the top, because he just in case it's really bad, I don't want it accidentally infecting my people or whatever. I like to give one to Marlowe for basically after seeing the contract happen to be like, you know what, I don't like this, and attempted to smack the necromancer away from the portal. And I like to give one to Echelon for the drunken raccoons. They're just like, it reminds me of the if you ever seen Dragon Ball Z, the abridged, you just like those guys from the one planet. I can see the future.
All right. Yeah. First, I'd like to give one to Ed for sharing your groundbreaking discovery of how to trade with chickens at an exponential rate. Yeah, it's really groundbreaking stuff. You could even argue the entire civilizations have been founded upon it.
Yeah. We're entering the agricultural revolution at this point.
Yeah,
slowly.
Yeah,
But
you backdoored your way into it.
The bottleneck, of course, is acquiring corn, but you'll work on that.
Now you value it, so you'll just trade for it. Yeah, to Max, who's not here, for daring the Empire to find his city. But just for your open response, be like, yeah, fine, come find my city. It was good. It was good. To Troy for successfully dodging a dwarven missile of unintentional variety. And then I saw it's funny when posed with the opportunity to take either a dwarven engineer, a dwarven axe swinger. I was like, yeah, he's clearly going for the engineer, and you didn't disappoint. So that was cool. And Tice for somehow managing to not get attacked by the elves, because that was kind of my concern. Is I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna attack you, but I was like, these elves are here, and they're just gonna do what they're gonna do, and then it just kind of all worked out for you. They just turned around and went south. So I don't know how you did it, but you made it happen. So good job.
You really have the thefts to thank for that. It was an offhand comment about trading apples that triggered all of that. That and a lucky 50-50 chance on a die roll. So I think there's 2 more to go.
Yeah, I'll go. So one to Tice for bringing demons to a druid party. Thought that was demons and undead to a druid party. That's a bold move. Miles for basically like you had this weird little wizard pact, and then there was a conversation where it's like, yeah, I'm going to talk to you about the dying god. And you're like, yeah, we'll have that discussion later. I'm I'm gonna go deal with some stuff right now. Max for basically telling the Empire to go fuck themselves and good luck finding my cities. And Troy, you got a bad case of the dwarves now, but you seem to be doing well with it. So.
Okay, yeah. Ed definitely for the I mean the entire scene was great for the drunk apples. It's gonna lead me to at some point figure out how to trade you for the chickens, to figure out how to make underground chickens. Like just the logistics of that. I was struggling with all session. I've actually have a bunch of Google searches on can you raise chickens underground, that I've been going through, which I think you can.
I mean, you can raise him in a cage. I don't see why he can't be underground.
Basically, yeah, what it came down to is like if you can handle like these conditions with chickens underground, it's like, well, I already figured that out for people, so I'm pretty sure I'm good for the chickens in addition. But no, that was a great scene. Miles for the efficient like delegation of that, like it was kind of resolving itself in a different way, the conflict, but you actually coming in and like diplomatically handling it, and then still like true to form when you play this kind of character, being like, he's doing something, I want to stop that. It may have failed, but it was still like very what your characters were trying to do. It's like, no, we're still doing the diplomacy. You can't leave yet. Runeterra for sticking to this vampire guy and having him do things. This is my ode to Max not being able to give experience out right now, because I'm sure he would comment on the vampire. It's great that he's there and that it fits in so well with your city. And he just dressed up one of your guys and killed him, essentially. So it's pretty great. And then Max will get it for his like even just right in the beginning, pay me to open the gates. Like yeah, I'm just standing here. Wait, I'm holding the lever. Like, do you want in? Like he doesn't have a good wall. And then you did. You paid him in taming, essentially, to just to come inside.
And then, of course, I'm certain that I can speak for Max in saying that he would like to give all of you an experience point for having functional internet connections.
Valuable thing, yeah.
That or delaying our Windows update.
Yeah, one of the two.
Whatever it ends up being.
All right. This has been sort of a fun experiment playing as cities. I'm hoping to weave the story back into playing as them again a little bit later. But yeah, for the moment now, we have everything set up for the main story sequence to begin.
Also, just a question: should we remove all endurance tax then if there's going to be a winter scene?
Yes, yeah. Winter happens first, so all endurance will be removed. All endurance tax and stamina tax. Not that any of you have stamina tax yet.
Also, I remember you said something about Runeterra being able to purchase. So I just purchase with experience for potential.
Yeah, you can go ahead and do that right now if you want to. The next time you play as Runeterra, you're going to have access to citywide rituals.
Yeah, I'm absolutely buying a potential. That seems like a worthwhile way to go.
So what are we
Yeah.
doing?
So it's
We
not
got
it's not just that like anybody can buy a potential if they want to, but you guys have access now because both of you took heritage traits for your city to give you access to magic, and so this is sort of this aspect unlocking where you guys can now take talents and methods related to magic, but magic for the purposes of cities is not one guy casting a spell. Magic is the entire city working in unison to execute city to city level spellcasting. Things like teleport army and yeah. When a city casts a third level fire spell, it's city sized, city class fires going on. It will, of course, take you a tremendous amount of experience points to build up to that level of power. This is why I introduced this late in the game. But as we go through the next portion of it, when we get back to the cities, you may find that to be useful. So yeah, just like a character, like you can spend 10 experience points as a city to learn a liturgic spell, to take the ability to do scholastic memorization, yeah, or even ascetic improvisation. I have a feeling you guys are going the improvisation route, but I'm not sure. It's up to you.
Yeah, probably just because I don't think I can afford the experience to buy a bunch of liturgic stuff.
Yeah, and I did this on purpose because I know how OP liturgic stuff can be with its no failure chance. The next moot will actually be your characters there. So instead of playing as the city, you'll be playing as the individual characters going to the big party. And yeah, with that, I'm going to go ahead and close down the recording. And yeah, I'm going to go to sleep. It's late. Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
All right, have a good night, guys.
All right, have a good night.